Okay, so in this movie I wanted to show you what the materials are that we are using for our stoma care with our now almost 1-year-old baby. We've gone through a lot of different materials and this is what we currently use, and he has a ileostomy, so that means he has pretty thin stool. So what we always use is just water with just plain water, a little bit warm, and gauze to clean. This is just doesn't have to be sterile. Just these gauzes. That's what we use. Then we use when he has little wounds, we use just stoma powder. Doesn't really matter which brand. All brands work for us. And the protective barrier that we really like is the 3M Cavalon, because this protects really well, but it doesn't have any alcohol in it. So we've used a lot of different ones, and usually the ones without alcohol don't work really well, and the one with alcohol, they sting. But this is one that doesn't have alcohol and still works. And you have them with little sponges. But at some point we discovered that they also come in spray, which is much easier to use, because if you have a skin that is open, you can do a little bit of powder and then you do spray on top, and then you do a lot of little powder again and spray on top to make a good protective little crust of spray and powder. And you can do that much easier with the spray than with the sponge, because the sponge sort of, sometimes the powder comes out when you use the sponge. So yeah, the 3M Cavalon spray is what we really use all the time now. So after you put the barrier on there with powder, if there are wounds, then what we actually also at some point discovered is that we had a lot of issues with leakage, and this specific one is sort of an extra glue. So this is not protective, it's just to make the bag stick better, and this really increased our wear time a lot. It does have alcohol, so it does sting, so you can't use it if the skin is open, but when the skin looks good, this is a lifesaver. This was really working well. And from the same brand they also have another one. This is called Tack Away, and this you can also use to get rid of leftover glue. It also has alcohol. We don't really use it a lot, but sometimes when you have a lot of glue, then this is great to get everything clean again. So after you have your barrier and extra glue, we use a sort of an island to protect the skin around the stoma, because he has an ileostomy and we had a lot of leakage, and also the poop sort of dissolved the waver of the bag. So we use an extra layer, and what we use for this is called Coloplast protective sheet. So they come in these big sheets, and what we do is we cut it in 4. So this is half a sheet and we cut it in 4, and then this is our stoma template that we currently have. So you just sort of make a little island, and this is what we put on there first before we put on the bag, just around the stoma. Okay, so then we have our paste. So when there are little areas where you can still see the skin around the stoma, we fill that up with paste. This is again a great paste because it doesn't have alcohol, so you can use it directly on the stoma, or even when the skin is open, doesn't matter. So we just put it in a syringe and squeeze it in there. What's a great trick is to use just normal Q-tips, and if you wet them, you can use the wet Q-tip to sort of mold the paste without it sticking. Because this paste, if you want to sort of make a little rim and you use a dry Q-tip, the paste sticks to the Q-tip, but when you just wet it, you can really nicely put the paste where it should go and it doesn't come out of there. Okay, so we have our island, we use our paste, and then of course you need the bag. So we have gone through a lot of different brands of bags. When he was smaller, so our baby had a stoma from 5 weeks old. So in the beginning we had a bag that was actually for urine. So there are a lot of different bags, and we like the ones just with one system where you have the waiver and the bag in one system. We currently are using this is the one that works for us really well now, and that is a Hollister. Trying to find this is the 3795. It has a waiver in there. This waiver for an ileostomy, if you use this alone, it didn't work because this waiver piece really all dissolved very quickly, and you got leakage and the skin would deteriorate. But in combination with the island, this works great. We've also used these bags, and when he was smaller, the Cymat, and we actually had a smaller one, microskin system. It's awesome. This was the only, it has sort of a little bit of plastic. Don't know if you can see it, but if you take this off, it has a whole sheet of plastic that goes around it, and this sticks really well. And they also do samples, so if you have issues with leakage and you want to try, just send an email to these guys from Cymat and ask. They have, this is a bigger one. When we actually used a smaller one when he was sort of in the phase where he was putting his feet in his mouth all the time, and it was very hard to keep any bag sticking on there. So this is a great one too. And duct tape we use to, not to cover the mouth when he's screaming. No, we actually use that. We have this one with a vent, and this is great too when there's a lot of gas, but sometimes it starts leaking through the vent. So then we put duct tape, a little piece of duct tape over here to make sure it doesn't leak. You can also have one without a vent, but it's nice to have one with vent for if there's a lot of gas. And then if it's too thin, you can put the duct tape over here. Okay, so after the bag is on, it's always hard to keep it from leaking, so we use some extra stuff around the bag to prevent that. And we actually currently are using these Brava strips that you can just put around there. When he was smaller, we actually always used Tegaderm, which is also great. They use it in the hospital, and it's not really a stoma care product, but this works really well to sort of stick. So when you have the bag on there like this, then you can use Tegaderm on top of the so we cut it actually like this, or sometimes like this, and then stuck it on there. And the last thing I want to show, if you also have ileostomy, this is really great for thin stool. These are crystals. The ones that work best are again from the Cymat brand that I also showed the bag from. These are just sort of your little crystals that absorb fluids, and if you put one in there, your whole bag interior just sort of changes into a gel, and you have much less chance for leakage. So these are really great. And if your insurance doesn't cover this, what we also, or if you're actually out of these and you have to wait till you have them again, what we also sometimes did was just use a normal diaper, and in the diaper there's the same sort of, you have the same sort of crystals in there. So if you just rip the diaper apart and you put the cotton with all the crystals in the bag, that's a good solution as well. It's just more work. So this is easier. You can just put a bag in there, but if you are in need, you can always use sort of the interior of the diaper, stick it in the bag, and then you just have fewer chance of leakage with thin stool. Okay, that was all the material we use. Another thing that's really handy is to have them organized in a box so that you know where everything is, and you can always find whatever you need. So we have just a little plastic box here with all the material that we use to have it handy in an extra table that we put next to us so that we have everything handy. Okay, I hope this was helpful, and good luck.